Hello, this is Steve here from Fireboxstove.com. Hey, I just wanted to spend a few minutes and explain the stainless steel pot handle clips that we make for the zebra loop-handled pots. And then I also wanted to show you some tips and tricks of how you can make some minor adjustments to get those to work just right on your zebra loop-handled pot. Okay, just to review the functions of the pot handle clips. They can be placed in two positions. They can either lock the handle up in this positively locked position, which you can do one side or both sides. If you have both sides locked in, that does lock it for pouring, but it also allows it to stay locked in the upright position while it's maybe over the fire or over the stove, allowing you free access to your lid. So your lid comes off easily, on and off, so you can check your cooking chore or whatever you're doing without having to mess with the handle. And the handle stays upright, out of the heat, stays a lot cooler that way. So there's that position. Then there is the automatic position, which is when these are not locked in. Then when your lid is on and your handle is up, your lid is locked down. So that is perfect for when you're doing a horizontal baking project and you need to hold your lid on because it now becomes your oven door. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and see what we've got. I want to show you kind of the differences between pots because these pots all turn out just a little bit differently from the factory when they're produced by Zebra. So if it's a little bit too tight to snap into this upright position, like this one is just a little bit snug, we actually use a tool that spreads the handles out a little bit to loosen that spring tension. So you know, you could come up with something of your own for that. This is what we use. This just kind of holds the handle, and then as I push this forward, the distance is increased slowly and it opens up those handles just a little bit, just to loosen up that fit and make it just perfect. Like that's fairly loose, but I actually like it fairly loose because I like it to be easy to move when I'm using it in the horizontal baking position. You know, because everything's hot, everything gets a little bit sticky when it's hot. So I like this to be a fairly loose fit, so it's pretty easy to get my oven door off and on. But if it is too loose, you can simply squeeze the handles together, and it doesn't take much, and it makes a considerable difference on that fit. So squeeze, and that makes a big difference on how tight that fits. So the fit on the handles, as far as locking them in so that you can pour with your pot, I'll go ahead and just pull this plastic off. But that fit right there is adjustable by how tight that squeezes around your handle. Okay, so if I wanted to tighten that up, we would just squeeze that a little bit tighter. Now, what I prefer to use is a pair of Vise Grips because you can easily control how much you adjust that by just making a small turn on this back knob. You know, you can change your adjustment, turn it slightly, try it again, turn it slightly, try it again. So it makes it a way of calibrating how much you're adjusting. If you're just using a pair of pliers, then you're not going to be able to make those incremental small changes very easily. It's going to be based on how hard you squeeze, and you'd have to have really a lot of finesse to do that job with those. See, like that probably didn't do anything, so I'll go a little bit more. So that probably didn't do very much, but let's just see. Okay, so that didn't do very much. So I'm going to turn this another, you know, 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn and just give it another squeeze. That may have made a pretty big difference. So let's try that. So that's quite a bit stiffer, and it's a little bit harder to get it to snap off. So the way that you adjust this to loosen it is by tightening your Vise Grips and straightening this center bend. So Let's try that now. Okay, so that's back to that kind of perfect fit that we started with. If you push this clip straight on, it can be a little bit stiff to snap on. But and the same thing goes with unclipping it. If you try to push the whole thing off together, it's a little bit difficult. But if you just do one side, then it pops right off. The same thing with popping it on. Do one side first, and then follow it up with the other side to make sure it's completely locked in that upright position. Taking it off, do one side. If the one side doesn't want to go, then try the other side and it'll probably pop off really easily. Sometimes it'll seem stiff and then I'll just go to the other side and it'll pop right off. So they won't melt. They hold your pot lid down when you want them to. They hold your handle of your pot up when you want them to. They're multi-function, multi-purpose. They're a very handy little clip to have on your Zebra stainless steel loop handled pot. Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.